All right, did it go live?
Hello, hello.
Welcome. Hello, Kat.
Hey, everyone.
You've made it into the Discord.
I did. I have verified myself and I'm here now.
All right, just making sure that it looks like we're live. I'm just still loading on my end, but I am trying to verify we're live, and hopefully more people will also show up.
So you guys ran it in the same manner last time. It's not the first event, is that correct?
This is the second one. Last time we had a full room.
Full room, how many people was that?
It was 25 people because we had a messed up on the cap, but this time we have up to 99, so we should be a lot better.
Okay.
Did we do an announcement for this?
We did.
Yeah.
Maybe everyone forgot about it.
By the way,
That would be rather unfortunate.
that'd be great.
I haven't met any of you guys. I'm Kat. I just joined Solana Foundation as a DevRel.
Oh, sweet. Great to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Last time we had like 25 people immediately.
Yeah, and people were fighting to get in too. All right, let's see what I can do here.
Maybe people thought I was spamming them.
Kind of surprising. Everything says I'm live except for the actual thing that should be telling me I'm live. Oh, here we go. I think I figured it out. All right. It's a lot less people this time, but we're going to get started. Let's see. Just one last check. I think I fixed my issue. I'm going live. Ah, no, it timed out. Okay. Give me one more moment. All right, let's check if that worked. Yep, we're live. Okay, cool. And now just to tweet this out on Twitter, and people will probably do the same thing as last time. All right, we are live with the post now. I'm getting it retweeted. Okay, hopefully we get more people in. But yeah, we can just start chatting, I guess, at this point, and people will come in hopefully, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll share the notes after the meeting. So we have.
Yeah, maybe we can send some notes in the Anchor contributors chat after the meeting. So if people want to contribute, then they can follow the channel.
Yeah. Cool. So I guess to give you all the update as well, I have drafted the release for 0.32. It is very large from the looks of it. There is quite a lot in it. So right now, I guess the expectation is we're going to be going through the audit for 0.32. And I'm also setting up the different releases of 1.0, and potentially I'm going to create, well, as soon as we get the first commit for a 2.0, I'll create a tag for a 2.0 as well, so that we can start doing backports. I know that we don't do backports today, but we have so many commits just sitting there that I think we kind of have to at this point.
Do you have a sense of what the most important breaking changes are for 0.32? I wonder if we should, do we document that anywhere?
It's all in the release notes, right?
Right.
I am
But I
making
think
sure.
that's everything, right? Or does that?
So the big changes. So we removed some of the original changes that we were going to do, right? We are no longer doing the upload IDL to the program. What is it? To program metadata in this version because it's just so breaking. We are updating it. It's technically a breaking change, but I would say it's actually more stable, where we're moving it to where we're building IDLs with the actual stable Rust C versus the nightly now. That does require a pretty big bump in your Rust dependency or your Rust version that you have installed locally. I'm hoping that doesn't cause any issues for people. There's also the, let's think about it. There is a bunch of the changes from Solana 2.1 to 2.3, which is also probably the biggest change that people run into as well, because that's where they do the breakup of crates. Now the way that we did it, it should not affect people building Anchor programs, but people using Anchor client, I believe it'll affect them. Welcome, Mariant. You're the first person outside of the core team. But that's the current state of things. And then I believe the way that we also removed Solang, but I don't think anybody cares about Solang. That is also considered a major breaking change. Other than that, it's mostly a bunch of stabilization and CU optimizations, like the invoke and things like that.
That shouldn't break anything, right? Unless, I guess, someone imports it directly from Anchor.
If we did it correctly, it should not break anything.
Okay.
That is the goal, right? If we did do something wrong, I have not tested the drafted release yet. That's something that we need to do and backport anything that might need to happen.
Got it. Okay. I think that sounds good. And then I guess when are we planning to actually cut the release? I assume audit will take maybe a few weeks, so maybe we can aim for end of September.
Sure, we can.
I guess to actually launch. I mean.
Yeah, I think like I'm locking down. I've already did a pre-release draft on GitHub, so that if people want to use it unaudited, they can. I think that's kind of like the code freeze at this point. Like anything additional will be the version updates for publish, so that's not affected by audit, meaning the bumping of from 0.31 to 0.32, right, across the board, and then anything that's markdown related things, like we might pull in the the published release notes, which will be a later commit, and then anything else that we need to do found by audit, but ultimately there will be no actual code changes to this release anymore. So we'll just only backports for the release notes, in the version bumps, and then anything that we need to update.
Makes sense.
Is there anything that you think that we need to do for the audit, or are we good to just start on the current like diff that we have?
I think the current diff is fine. Yeah, I mean, usually all we need is a frozen commit.
Yeah.
Right. So
So you can
seems
use
like
the
we already
hash.
have that here. Yeah. And then we can. Did Armani upload the audit reports somewhere? Are they in
No,
the?
he has never.
Okay.
I don't have access to any of those. He has never uploaded
Okay.
them. This would be the first report that we have public.
Okay. So maybe an action item for us is we can. I guess one is we can send you the old reports that we did, and then we can also, moving forward, upload one for each release, and we can just put them in the repo so people can see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. What we probably have here is we'll have 0.32. We'll get it reviewed, audited, anything that we need to add to it. And then we'll do the full release. And then I think there will probably be like a really fast follow of 0.32.1. There's the thing that Pierre did, right? That is a huge optimization, but we didn't want to. This release is already too big at this point. So we should be able to get that out pretty quickly, I think, given that it's very small code changes, but it is a huge optimization for CUs. And then so we'll create that as another release candidate with the version draft and everything. We can go through that immediately. And then I'll start pulling in everything for 1.0 once I think I could do that right now actually because we have the release drafted already, so we don't have to worry. All we have to do is worry about backporting at this point.
Right. Okay, I think that makes sense. And then are we planning? So I guess after 32.1, we're going straight to 1.0, right?
Yeah. So there's a number of things to keep y'all updated on 1.0. We have, I believe, let me look at the project board. A lot of the different pieces on 1.0 for the most part are done. There's a few things that need to be done. I believe y'all are doing something on the duplicate accounts now, right?
Yeah, we have that tracked. I think that's slated for 1.0, right?
Right. Yeah. So we have most of the PRs in. We have except for that one. And then we have all these PRs that are for the issues that are all just waiting. Like we have the IDL updates. We have a bunch of updates to the breaking change updates that we had just sitting that we did not want to pull in until we get 1.0 because we wanted to avoid too many breaking changes. There's some result changes. There is the big one is the upgrade for Borscht, right? Borscht 1.0. So Andre from Turbine did a lot of the work in a PR, but part of that work he had to custom implement all of the different, a bunch of the Borscht functions, right? Because they went from public to private from our current version of Borscht to the actual current version of Borscht. Everything gets 157 versus we are currently on 0.10. This has to happen regardless. Like I know that we have to do it we wanted to do it for Anchor 1.0, but also Solana SDK 3.0 and higher, which would be what Anchor 1.0 would target, will remove remove the compatibility with Borscht 0.10. So it's kind of a forced upgrade as well as like a wishful, like something that we wanted to do. So on that, I'm trying to work with the Near guys who maintain Borscht, right? To get them to convince them to make those functions public again, so we do not have any issues with them changing it between like minor versions. But it's a currently ongoing process.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's see. Should we do an update about the GitHub runner?
Sure, go for it.
Anna, do you want to take that?
Yeah, so the GitHub runner, we built it, but at the moment we are experiencing some account data errors, which we are troubleshooting. And I know Robert is working with our platform engineering guys, who I've invited to the call, but I think they are in the leadership meeting, so they'll join later. And we wanted to get some ideas from the Solana Foundation what do you think of those issues and how to troubleshoot them? Because we don't seem to be reaching a solution here.
What were exactly the issues again?
Yeah, it's kind of strange. So, I think we have the same, or it should be the same setup on both our runner and also the official runner. But there's an intermittent error where one of the tests, I'm trying to remember which one, but basically a few of the tests show account data missing. So I think it's some like RPC flakiness or something. But yeah, I'll look at it probably today or tomorrow. Try to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I don't have access to like the error logs today, so I can, if you give me access, I can look into it.
We might be able to send it to you actually. Let me see. I'll make a note to send it to you after the call. I don't know if you can figure it out, but if you have any ideas, it would definitely be great.
Yeah, do we know if it's RPC flakiness, are they using the public RPCs? Because if it's using like the current GitHub Actions, I think they are. So we probably should change that.
Okay, maybe that's why. Actually, yeah, that's a good guess. Let me see. Oh, RPC. I thought they were using something local.
Well, they are using local test validator for a lot of them. But if there's other like account things, like if you're doing local, you should not have flaky RPC, right? So.
Right. Yeah, sure. I mean, basically, it's like this account or doesn't exist, but it should exist. So,
wonderful.
That's sort of the information I have to go off of. I'll send you the log after.
Okay.
Then you can give some guesses.
Yeah, I can try to guess what's going on. We can also just run like the larger runners on GitHub in the meantime if we need to. I know we've kind of stalled as we're waiting on like, well, y'all were probably waiting on me for the 0.32 like cut. That's happened now, so we can actually start running with all the other PRs, which will require the larger runner. So I can just go activate one of the larger runners now, so that we can use it for all upcoming PRs.
Right. I'm hoping we can figure this out today or tomorrow. But I'll send you the log and we can look at it offline.
Okay, sure. Robert, are you familiar with backporting today? Is it just like pulling commits into like the previous tagged versions?
That's what I thought. I don't believe there's. Do you know of like a different process for that?
I'm gonna check what Onza does. I know that they have it's a fun juggle that they do with backporting, and it's probably always scary for like auditing it because it's like, okay, which ones goes to what. I know Trent Trent is like one of the backport guardians or whatever for it. So I trust him, but I want to make sure that we don't mess it up on our end because we have similar security issues if we do.
Do you have a list of which commits you're trying to backport? I think
we don't have any right now to 0.32. I'm just thinking that there will be two in the future. There will be the release notes, any updates to the release notes, and then the version bump. Those are the two that we'll have to backport.
So I think for Onza it's a little trickier for Agave it's a little trickier because if they backport, like I think usually they backport security patches or they might break something, right? You might introduce another bug, but I think for Anchor it should be more straightforward. I mean, most of the commits are relatively isolated features or where we're removing something. So maybe the process can be we just do a quick security audit of the backport to make sure it looks fine, but it should take like 10 minutes if it's release notes or something.
Yeah, those I would hope I don't break anything with the release notes. I would be very disappointed in myself if I did.
Right.
I'd be
I don't think it's I'm hoping it's not a super big concern for Anchor.
Yeah, I think the only thing is like if we do, since we're doing this as a pre-release, right, as a draft so that we can start doing this audit, anything that we do find that needs to be pulled in, we would have to do in backports, right? But no one should these release versions are not published on Crate, so no one should be using these anyways right now.
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Okay. And then I think what we'll probably do is I've just drafted this one. We can do backports for anything that we need to pull in. I could draft 0.32.1 like immediately because I know exactly what goes into it. That's just PR's one commit. Um, and then
Yeah.
maybe we let it sit for a week after we release 0.32 for anything that we accidentally broke for 0.32.1 or 0.32.0. I do plan on our side spending some time upgrading some more complex programs, not just the programs that we already have, but more complex. So we hopefully will run into these issues during the audit rather than after release. But we'll see. I mean, you've seen these things with Anchor before, right? It's such a complex project at this point. I'm always worried that something's going to go wrong.
Yeah. I was gonna ask about the Anchor security group, but maybe we should talk about that after the call, and then we can bring something to the next meeting.
Sure. Yeah. I know. I mean, guess if anybody's interested, there is a PR out there if they want to look at it for the Anchor security group. But we can go through. It's not finalized yet at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't want to overpromise and say there's like a huge bug bounty if that's not finalized.
There's no numbers on that yet, so we're good.
Okay. I guess we also had on the agenda point 0.33 release and then 1.0. Are we doing a 33 cut?
I don't think we need it. Do you have a reason for 0.33?
I think Anna, you put this here. I'm fine with either. I guess it's if we want to. I mean, if there's other features that we want to merge in before 1.0, we can cut 33. But
if I'm looking at the current feature set with everything that's breaking, like I kind of wanted everything. So the only reason I can think of for doing a 0.33 is if we want to deprecate more things, to add more deprecation warnings, which
before 1.0.
Yeah, before 1.0, which is generally best practice. I don't think it really matters for us right now, given that every version has been breaking for all of Anchor's lifetime, basically.
Hopefully that doesn't continue.
Well, I mean, even a 0.31 to 0.32, right? That's a expected breaking change. 1.0 and on, we don't expect to do breaking changes, especially if we plan on working on V2 right after 1.0, right? So we want it stable as stable as possible. Akron, when I talked to him, he voiced that as part of for the 1.0 release, he has a bunch of code that he just wants to remove that are deprecated today. I'm not aware of those at this time. It should be, if he added deprecation warnings already, they should be pretty easy to find. I have not looked for them yet. But anything else that we need to add, we can add as needed.
Okay, maybe we can slate 33 for just a bunch of deprecations then. And then before 1.0, and then once we do 1.0, we'll just remove everything fully.
It'll be very quick between the two, I think. At least I hope.
That's what we always say. I think someone had a question. I saw something pop up.
I cannot access chat at this point.
Open chat. Oh, wait, people are talking in here.
Oh, hey, deprecate all things. Bergman. Wait, Bergman.
Pinocchio's in V1 or V2? That's a good question. Do you have any thoughts here, Jacob?
Wait, people are listening to this thing without even being on the call. What? Because Bergman's not even on the call. Interesting.
Maybe he's listening from Twitter or something?
Yeah, I have it streamed in like 4 different places. I guess people are listening.
That's good. I guess they're just listening, not on Discord.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, so for the Pinocchio comment with Ariane, so Pinocchio is V2. I think Pinocchio, the main change between V1 and V2 will be Pinocchio, because that is also a huge change.
Okay. So we're planning to punt Pinocchio into V2.
Yeah, I don't think we can. Like, I don't particularly want to do that in V1. I mean, we can, but it's a lot of work, right? Um,
Right. Why? I mean, why not? Are you worried about it being too much of a breaking change, or are you worried about the size of the release, delaying 1.0 further?
I I would I would be worried about adoption of 1.0.
If okay, if it forced everyone to switch to Pinocchio
Yes.
because people are scared of Pinocchio, or I guess I thought that if we have Pinocchio, more people would use it because that's why I want to land it sooner rather than later
Okay.
because
Do you so
everyone.
we could uh yeah, I think we probably should get a little bit more feedback on that. I know,
I was gonna suggest we do a poll or something before we
yeah,
get to that.
I know that Akron is very against it. Of course, Akron's not on this call, but the original idea for 1.0 was to be a stable, battle tested version of Anchor, right? Moving, also the case of Pinocchio. Pinocchio will moving or adding Pinocchio integration or updating with Pinocchio will already push back Anchor V2 a lot because
Right.
there's a 9.0 is the current audited version of Pinocchio, right? There's going to be a bunch of breaking changes coming up soon with Pinocchio, right afterwards. And then there's one more round of breaking changes that goes into Pinocchio after that. So, because what they're doing is they're updating what pub key to address, right? And then adding Solana SDK compatibility afterwards
Right.
as well. And those two changes are two rounds of like major breaking changes to
Right.
Pinocchio. And from what I can tell, uh, we got months on that. And I'm trying to like speed that along at this point.
Right. I mean, we could do 1.0 and then we could. I mean, I guess we could do 1.1 or something. I don't think it really changes if we call it 1.1 or 2.0.
Wouldn't it
Um,
change the way that we uh, call Anchor? I guess we can make it to where the way you call Anchor is the same, Pinocchio or not. Just more work on our side.
right. I think ideally it'd be as um, it'd be not a huge breaking change. That's why I sort of wanted to be 1.1 as opposed to. I think saying 2.0 implies that we're going to change the interface or tear things up. And
Okay,
I mean, we can see how it looks, but ideally we would be able to do it without
makes
breaking the
sense.
interface severely.
Is Sync Native currently broken? Um, I don't think so.
Sync native, you mean the token instruction? Or do you mean the anchor integration?
Neither should be broken.
Right. I mean, the token's definitely not broken.
Yeah,
I mean, there's been no changes.
yeah, neither have changed in a very long time.
Right. If you send more context, I can look into it, but hopefully it's not an anchor issue.
Yeah, that'd be really bad for us. Um, okay, so there is a case of whether or not we should go. If anybody has feedback here, happy to hear it. If you think we should go Pinocchio earlier, there's also the case that we need to consider, and maybe this turns into what Anchor 2.0 is going to be, instead of just Pinocchio as a change. There is a consideration right now on the runtime side of making everything no STD. That's a conversation that's going to be happening basically next week among all the different core devs on runtime. And that Pinocchio today is no STD compatible, right? But it does require a bunch of work on our side still to like, if anybody's using a string or a vec, right? We will need to update to use what is it called? Is it Alec, or I believe that's the open source crate that allows you to do that with no STD, and so that's a much bigger change on our end.
Right.
There's
Maybe
also
what we can do is we can draft a list of questions that we can tweet at. So I just checked. Apparently, there's 500 people watching on on Twitter. So we might we might be able to get some more feedback if you just tweet out some polls. So after
Okay.
this call, we can draft a bunch of questions for you to tweet out, and that might get more engagement than
Where are these people?
this Discord chat.
Okay, that's hilarious. I mean, people are joining now, right? So I guess something happened.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't realize so many people were watching.
We're just chatting.
I guess that's a good thing.
I was just about to mention, if you guys have any more questions about the GitHub runner, Jeff from our platform team is now on. So
Oh.
we got him
Yeah.
on Discord. Yeah.
Got him on Discord. Welcome, Jeff.
Someone, Sonam had a question. Any low-hanging fruit to contribute?
I think we have.
I think we have. What's the tag again?
So there's investigate. If you the lowest hanging fruit is figuring out if these investigate tags are real or not. There, if you go to, let me see if I can pull it up. If you go to, oh, you got it already. All right, you got it.
Yep.
Yeah, if you go to the issues and they're labeled investigate, and you can find out if this is a real issue or not, that can help us a bunch because it tells us whether or not we need to prioritize it right now. There's a whole bunch of these, right? We did have a bunch more before, but we still have a decent amount right now. And then other than that, if you just go to, I wouldn't say these are as low hanging fruit, but if you go to the project board for 1.0, it has a bunch of current work that we have for people to actually get done.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, you can ask in the Anchor contributors channel, and we should hopefully be pretty responsive.
Yeah, I think we've been pretty good at that.
Okay, sweet. Let's see.
Yeah, so
a couple other items. Oh, sorry, go on.
Just to go back to like the NoSTD, so we can ask, like, we can pull Twitter, right? Should we just make 1.0 with Pinocchio or not, or 1.0 with 1.1 with Pinocchio? The other thing is that do we want to make, if the NoSTD change happens, should we make that in a fast follow version, a 1.1 or a 2.0? Should we just delay the 2.0 until like an actual real like other large change happens?
I think another underlying question here is how important is switching to Pinocchio for people, right? Like, do people care about it a lot, or is it just nice to have? I'm curious how many people. I mean, I see on Twitter a lot of people talk about how they really care about the compute units, right? But I don't know if that's representative, and I think we should try to get some data on how much people actually care.
I think so. People do care, but they care about things being easier, better, or more, I should say. Is my understanding. Like if you remember Noah on the call last time, he was like, we would rather have things be easier. Like the engineering time versus the CU spent. It's a trade-off that you constantly have to balance. If anybody here has any feedback, like, happy to hear it as well.
Yeah, I think we can try to capture the sentiment in some polls, and then we can send them after this call. I might get some more interaction.
Yeah, I do think a lot of the different changes that we put into even 0.32, right? The invoke change basically puts us in line with Pinocchio CPI because it's almost the same. It's like a few more C's.
I mean, I think the broader question is, should we be spending a lot of time trying to optimize the CUs? Or, like, this is a question I'm trying to think about, right? Like, do we focus on optimizing CU, or do we focus on other things? Like, for example, I have on the agenda today, we're trying to build out static analysis tooling for Anchor, right? Like, which one is more important? I mean, we can do both, but I want to understand, like, if people care a lot about CUs, maybe we should focus on that over the static analysis tooling, for example.
So, yeah, I guess we can pull that. Looking at, would it make sense to wait with Pinocchio until the runtime goes full at NoSTD? Potentially. That's my kind of comment. If we go full NoSTD, we might need to just wait for that, right? Could cause a lot of issues for us if we don't wait for that.
I'm still thinking on the comment from Armani from a few years ago when he mentioned that Anchor is not aiming to be the most performant and most efficient, but it's aiming to be the tool that everybody can pick up and make your idea reality really quick without shooting yourself in the foot. And I think that's still, in my view, so if you ask me, I think that there is still place for Anchor in that respect in the ecosystem, to be the tool that everybody can pick up and just easily get into the coding and make your idea a reality. So I personally wouldn't push Pinocchio that much, but if you ask me, I think if you say that they are planning to go no STD, of course it has a lot of advantages, but do you wanna make it harder for Anchor developers to write, even if it's not necessarily making it harder? But like Natigo said, are you aiming for the highest performance, most CU, or at least CU usage? Or are you aiming for having a tool that can be picked up and just hit the ground running? These are the things in my mind about this.
That's helpful feedback. Yeah, I think the issue is it's hard to know what everyone thinks, right? So we should try to get some more opinions here.
If you think about it, 70-80% of the programs are written in Anchor. That's on Solana, partly because there was no Pinocchio before, but partly also because it was easy to use. It's easier
Right.
or more structured than writing standard REST or native
Right.
REST.
I think what we want to prevent is we don't want people to feel like they have to use Pinocchio to write a performant program. I mean, so we do a lot of audits, and we're seeing Pinocchio and Solana Rust being used more and more. And I think part of the reason when we ask these teams is because they want, they want to be more efficient. And I think the problem is a lot of these teams don't know how to use those frameworks properly, and they end up writing a bunch of bugs, right? So we in my mind, we want to get Anchor to the point where it's performant enough where you can use it and not feel bad about not using Pinocchio.
I would like to get us to have the Pinocchio entry point swapped out at some point, regardless, because you both in keeping in mind to keep the UX of Anchor. Just because like one of the biggest problems that people have today is all the dependency issues, right? Pinocchio removes a bunch of those stuff because Solana program historically and still today has a bunch of just bloat in it that does not need to exist.
Another thing is maybe I wonder if we can switch incrementally instead of all at once. Maybe that's more annoying from a dependency standpoint, but for example, if we just switch the entry point to start, actually I'm not sure if that would work with the type system.
Yeah, I don't think that would work.
That'd be nice, right? Like I would like to be able to switch parts of it without doing everything in one go, but that might be wishful thinking.
We can do like a proof of concept to see what it looks like. I think there is a developer group that did this, just as an experiment. We can do this and see what it looks like, but ultimately, like, we need there's kind of like two things, right? I need the optimization that Pinocchio has in Anchor so that people are not like, I need to use Pinocchio, right? I need people to not feel like they need to use it, or feel that they can use it when they get leveled up enough, not feel forced into it through like social bias today. Like this is happening a lot on the timeline.
Right.
Right. But I also need, I guess there's three things really. I need the UX as well of Anchor, which is a lot better than what a lot of people are getting used to in Pinocchio. And then thirdly, I need the network overall to be better optimized, to make more room for more transactions, right? If we have 80% of people using Anchor today and Anchor's not performant, that's a problem for us. Like a great example, I think I saw KV mention on Twitter. He was like, yeah, I could do so much more with even ARB strategies. And I'm like, okay, cool. If I had a higher CU limit. Well, there's one thing I could increase. I can't personally do this, but I could go talk to the core devs about do this and make a case for the devs like I have done with a lot of the other limitations on Solana. I don't think that's the right thing to do. Or I could just make the frameworks that everybody uses more efficient so that you don't have to care. Like, because if you see like Drift, even Drift uses 0.29, and their C usage is much higher, but everybody's starting to use Drift, right? So it's like, okay, if we just had a optimal version of Anchor, we would be in a much better state than we are now. And then also we have this weird fragmentation going on with the ecosystem where people are like, hey, I want to use Pinocchio. I want to only be on Pinocchio, things like that, because of the social pressure, causing a huge fragmentation of people building. There's both people that should be building Pinocchio programs and should not be building Pinocchio programs today. I can help bridge that gap with Anchor.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely prefer if everyone used Anchor. I think the question is, how do we get people there?
We make Anchor better.
Maybe maybe the question is we can ask people why they don't use Anchor. Like that could be an interesting question to put out on Twitter. I mean, my guess is most of the reasons is for performance, right? But like, how much better does the performance have to be for you to consider using Anchor?
Yeah, there's a lot of Pinocchio connoisseurs here. Naga, did you have any comments on this? Maybe you're going to stay on mute, but that's all good.
Okay. We did have an action item to talk about. So we're building out static analysis tooling for Anchor. Or one of the ideas we had is we want to build out static analysis tooling for Anchor. One question we had was what sorts of lints would be useful, I think the context here is we want to have something similar to, what was the trail, something to Slither on Ethereum, where you can run it and it will run some tooling and it will spit out some potential bugs. And the idea is you would run that before you get an audit and hopefully help catch some more bugs. And I think the attractive part here is because it's only meant for Anchor, we can be a lot more specific about the types of issues we want to catch, right? We're not trying to catch like every single Solana issue possible. It's only issues in Anchor projects, which is a lot more limited. Yeah, I'm not sure if people here have strong thoughts on what sorts of lints would be useful. We're planning to go through our audit reports to try to collect a few, but also wanted to get some community feedback if there's any.
When I was working on the deprecation of account info PR, I was thinking on using lints instead of this. And actually my impression is that Clippy has its own lints that are sufficient to help you improve your Rust in the Anchor code. I don't know if it would bring benefit of writing extra lints. But of course it can.
Oh, sorry, yeah. So I think the Clippy lints are for, so the Clippy lints are pretty useful, right? I think a common one is like unchecked truncation. Like that's a pretty common Solana bug class that we see, which is caught through Clippy. But I think there's a few Anchor specific ones that we want to catch. For example, there's one really annoying problem where after you use an account in CPI, you have to manually call reload on it. Otherwise, the fields are stale. And that's a bug class that most people who first look at Solana don't really think about. But if we can write a lint for it and it's built into Anchor and it runs after every build, then they don't need to worry about that. So we're thinking more about like, I guess the Solana specific Anchor perks, as opposed to generic Rust issues.
I think these would be really good to have also. Like, so there's a list being built out by, I think it was Radar, that they have just a GitHub action that you can use that was open source. I think I sent that to you, Robert, right?
Yeah.
We can take that list, add to it. And I think we also should just in generally have like, Well, I guess here's the question: do you expect these to run as part of like the actual CLI build command, or do you want to run in a CI?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it depends on how long it takes to run that. In the ideal world, we would be able to run it as part of the build command, where it'd be super fast, and this way you never have to worry about missing it. I don't know if we can get it to that speed just yet, especially if we're using something like CodeQL. So in that case, it'd probably be an action that you can include.
Okay. I think that gets into also the conversation that there's a number of actions that I think we need to include into like a V1's scenario just to make Anchor a little bit better on like by default for the CI platform for CI, but we'll get there.
Oh, I think I saw that. Right?
That's useful.
Trailbits wrote something that was pretty cool. Yeah, do you want to? Okay. So I think we have 10 minutes left or so. One general question I had was, were there any feature requests that people from the audience wanted us to prioritize? Or anything in particular about Anchor that feels frustrating or that you're confused about? I think this is a good time to let us know, especially if you don't want to create a GitHub issue for it. We can try to answer the questions or help track it to get it fixed. One of the problems with using it in CI is that some crates can't be built from source.
What crates can't be built? Wait, what?
Sorry, could you elaborate on that?
Arthur, wouldn't it be easier to just talk instead of typing?
I mean, it's the same case with Naga. Naga said he couldn't talk right now.
Yeah. No, it's easier to talk. So when I was testing to add Solana Verify on the CLI and changing the AVM stuff, so I always had to build from a commit hash or something. We don't have a flag. I didn't saw that flag to like pass a path, so you can use that to test your current version. So for example, if I change something on the AVM crate and I want to test that version, I had to like pass commit, pass the hash that commit was, and then it built from there. I think that this way to like select a specific file path and use that for testing on a test environment, it's a good feature to have in all crates or all possible use test cases, because then you can like test from the latest one that you change it.
I think with AVM, it's built like that on purpose. My understanding, talking to Acheron and Armani after some things happened where we broke AVM, was that it's supposed to be it's not actually tightly coupled with a lot of the different tools that are already built within Anchor. It just installs them on the fly. I think that's what you probably ran into, is that we were trying to do something different for the Solana Verify in that case.
Yeah, so okay, yeah, that's answered the problem with the AVM.
Yeah.
Then we broke it, then it's already fixed.
I think Jamie fixed it or something. So we did fix it so that we didn't have that issue anymore.
Is that file path error that we're facing it?
I don't think. Well, yeah, we were facing quite a few issues actually. I believe we fixed them all because I tested them, and then I also I haven't heard anything since we fixed them. So
I pushed that cargo fix there when you said that I broke it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that having this power of building from specific file directory can be a good stuff to like use some crates to test on the CI or whatever, but
Yeah.
not broken the whole Anchor.
Get it. Okay. Yeah, we can look into that. I think there's already an issue for the file path part. There's also a thing, Robert, I think I've mentioned this to you at one point that I wanted to bring up, is for 1.0, I wanted to decouple Anchor a lot, or decouple it potentially completely from the Solana CLI, which is a huge change. With the plan of only pulling in platform tools, nothing else, from the Solana tool suite, so that we have full control of the version of platform tools that gets built with any version of Anchor as well. So that because currently a lot of the issue people run into, right, is that they have this weird combination of Solana CLI version plus Anchor version, plus sometimes even platform tools version. I'm just going to couple the platform tools version with the Anchor version instead, and then all the different CLI, instead of doing a wrapper with Anchor, actually do the implementation within the Anchor CLI.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Is there an issue tracking that?
Yes, there is, and I think Andre just joined. I think I sent it to Andre as well. So let me grab that real quick. There we go. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah. I mean, even I have trouble building something.
Exactly, right?
So,
If you could have it to where the version of the CLI will always work for if you have Anchor 31 and you have an Anchor 31 program and it will always work, that would be the best case scenario.
right. It's kind of crazy how that's not the case right now.
Exactly. How terrible has this, like, why has it existed for so long?
Are we cutting this for 1.0 or 30.32?
This is not in 32. I'm planning this for 1.0. It's in the 1.0 project board right now.
No, I see it in the 32 project board as well. Should I get rid of it?
Did I meant? Yeah, just get rid of it.
This is me. I moved the outstanding 32 stuff that we have had a cutoff on to V1 now. So
Oh,
if you're happy, I can just put them
yeah.
in 132.
Okay, it looks like Robert just removed it from 32.
I know.
Very cool. Anything else from the audience, like things that we should prioritize or features that y'all want? Right, so thinking about the polls that we need to get from a wider audience is Pinocchio in V1 or V2, right? Should we just drop everything, go Pinocchio, or should we wait a little bit and create a stabilized version? What other things do we need to poll, like the wider group, other than more features?
I'd be curious why people don't use Anchor. I mean, right now I know for sure people don't use Anchor because of CUs, but is there other reasons that we should be thinking about? And maybe there's lower hanging fruit that we can tackle first. I
Binary
know
size
Kevin
is another one, right?
Right, binary size. I know Kevin was complaining about how the client, like the Anchor client, is annoying to use because it's built in the same package. I'm not sure if other people have that same complaint, but I think we just have a general poll of like, why don't you like Anchor?
Okay,
And that blends into the feature requests as well.
got it, we can do that. Could you add a changelog to 0.30? Yes. I can. I was working on updating all of the release notes because I think we missed a few commits. But yes, I will once I finish updating the release notes, I'll pull it into the actual changelog of 0.32.
Yeah, I'll try it out, and then we can also talk about the security stuff.
Next time. Okay. And then so I know that from last time, a lot of people did reach out and said, why are you even working on a 1.0 at this point? Like, just go to Pinocchio and build Anchor on top of it. So hopefully that loud group will chime in as well to our poll.
I think that's it from my side.
All right, is anything else
Any other?
for anybody else in the group, in the crowd? Anything you want to add?
Is there a way to comment on Twitter? Actually, I haven't been checking the
There isn't anything coming in on Twitter. There hasn't been a single comment on Twitter.
I'm not sure who is responsible, who is doing what from the group at Anchor, but looking at the PRs, there's a really good job being done and filtering and closing out PRs. But there are some that are ready and open and standing there for a few days, weeks. What's the plan on handling those? Is there any concrete plan on?
Yeah, so for quite a few of these PRs that are ready, we have intentionally not pulled them in because we wanted to cut the 032 release. And so we wanted to do that first before we pulled anything in, because otherwise doing all the managing them all, given that we knew what 032 was going to look like at this point, managing all the backports and everything was going to be we were trying to avoid that problem. Now that we have done a pre-release draft of 032, I plan on pulling in PRs and then making a pre-release for 032.1, and then I can just handle the backports at that point, and then start pulling in everything for 1.0 on, so that we can start actually getting all the people pulling their PRs in.
I've seen that there are PRs that are associated with 1.0 and 032. But I don't see too much of open PRs anymore. Is there any PR that needs support from developers to make it happen?
There's still some work that we need to do on our side to go through the just open PRs to see if they're still needed at this point, because there are still a lot of old PRs, like very years old, right? So we need to go through those still.
No, what I mean is that the PRs that are for in the project for V1 or V32, there are PRs that are in the work or happening. I checked it 1 week ago, so they might change.
Right.
Is there any PR that got stuck because of some problems and that can't get further and there is blocking the rest of it?
The only one that I think is being blocked right now is Andre's, because of we need to work with the near Borscht devs. Your PR is mostly just blocked because I wanted to make the draft release first for 32. That's just like a management type of thing on the repo.
All right. Okay. So all of them are in the work and all of them are moving forward and nobody needs help.
That's
in the PRs that are.
That's my understanding at this point. There's also the case, and we're kind of at time at this point, that I think we didn't answer this question in the chat, but whether or not we should go to GIL default on 1.0, I think it could be a case that we should, given that Web3.js is on maintenance mode at this point. Like, there's only problems that we need to fix for it, and nothing net new other than maybe V1 transaction support once that comes out. We probably should make that decision. I can make a poll for that for 1.0 as well.
I'm in support for adding Git or GIL, preferably GIL for 1.0, because that, if you want 1.0 to be a stable release, then still using Web3.js doesn't make sense.
Okay, makes sense. Because, yeah, Web3.js is not getting any updates anymore at this point. Cool. If there's nothing else, I think we can close out here. So thank you everyone for joining. We'll put out these polls probably via Twitter or something, and then I'll do a bunch of going after some devs that I know that have a very strong opinion on one side or the other, and we can figure out how we can move forward on the 1.0 roadmap. And if you have any comments, suggestions, or whatever, feel free to make an issue on the Anchor repo. DM me if you need help with that, or want some better understanding of where direction is. But yeah, happy to help everyone out. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thanks everyone. Bye bye.